Welcome back. A French court has ordered Christine Lagarde, the head of the International Monetary Fund, to face trial over her role in a payout of some 400 million euros to businessman Bernard Tapie. France's main prosecutor recommended in September that magistrates drop their investigation into Lagarde for alleged negligence with regard to the affair. Lagarde's lawyer said he would recommend his client appeal the French court's decision to bring her to trial over her role in the Bernard Tapie Credit Lyonnais affair. The decision by the Cour de Justice de la République, which judges ministers for crime in office, comes as a surprise, as France's top prosecutor had recommended in September that magistrates drop investigations into Lagarde for alleged negligence with regard to the affair. Lagarde was France's finance minister when the payout was ordered. The World Bank and Iraq have signed an agreement for a $1.2 billion loan to help offset the fall in oil prices and security costs associated with the fight against the Islamic State. Iraq's ambassador to the United States, Luqman Feli, penned the agreement at the World Bank headquarters in Washington, D.C., alongside the bank's Iraq country director, Farid Belhaj. Iraq's state finances are heavily dependent on oil revenues, which have sunk as oil prices have plunged. At the same time, Baghdad has ramped up military spending in its battle against the hardline Islamic State group, which has killed and displaced thousands and destroyed services and infrastructure. The World Bank says the aim of the emergency loan was to help rebuild and return basic services for citizens. The budget supports loan will be disbursed in a single tranche and should be available to Iraq before the end of the year.
Iraq is going through a difficult time. Iraq is facing the twin shocks of free falling oil prices and fragility caused by the violence that ISIS is imposing on the country. So Iraq today is managing a very delicate situation and is in tremendous need for support from his partners.
Well, the Brazilian Congress has approved a reduction in the country's fiscal savings target in the 2016 budget, but ditched a request by President Dilma Rousseff for a steeper cut that raised questions about her commitment to close a widening deficit. Fitch Ratings had downgraded Brazil government bonds to junk, citing rising concerns about an economic and political crisis that threatens to push President Dilma Rousseff from office and scuttle efforts to close a gaping fiscal deficit.
Brazil's currency and dollar-denominated bonds tumbled amid forced selling after the country's second downgrade to junk in 3 months, further clouding the outlook for an economy suffering from the sharpest downturn in a quarter century. Data from market shows the Brazilian real fell about 2% in Wednesday's trading. Dollar-denominated bonds also tumbled sharply, and 5-year credit default swaps rose 28 basis points to 482. Financial analyst Antonio Carlos Porto from Rio de Janeiro's Getulio Vargas Foundation said the downgrade had been widely anticipated by the market.
I believe the downgrade is always a bad sign, indicating that the country is losing international credibility, is losing its capacity to attract foreign investment, to create jobs, to create new taxes and increase its revenues. I think all this is terrible, but it was expected, and for that reason, it did not have much effect on the market. It would have been a surprise if the downgrade did not happen.
Fitch said a political crisis had restricted the government's ability to right the economy. Rousseff's opponents have accused her of breaking budget rules and are trying to impeach her, while key allies are threatening to bolt her coalition amid a widening bribery scandal at the state-run oil company Petrobras. Analysts say investors barred from owning junk bonds could dispose of $20 billion in Brazilian sovereign and corporate debt after 2 ratings agencies have stripped Brazil of its prized investment grade. Porto also says Brazil was going through a deep economic and political crisis, and more downgrades are expected in the near future.
In fact, this downgrade was already expected. The economic crisis is huge. The political crisis is huge, and the misunderstanding within the governments are clear, especially because the government has 2 or 3 different finance ministers, one pushing to control deficit levels, the other one not so much. So the result from all of this is that we will have more downgrades ahead, and Brazil, unfortunately, has not interrupted its path of torture.
And that's it on the program. Thank you for watching. I'm Chimeze Obiwago. Have a good afternoon.